The thing that sucks is when you're in somebody's backing band, and this has happened. I won't say who. There was somebody in the front performing. I was playing drums on this gig, and they turn around and they're doing the same thing, doing the smile, and they look at me and go, "What's the next verse?" And I have to look at them dead and guy go, "Sorry, I learned my part."
Yeah.
but I also do that from in my groups as well.
Yeah. That's
It's so funny.
man. Welcome back to Love's Music. This next guest is near and dear to my heart. We have Rob Tait, a powerhouse musician who's also a singer and songwriter. He's the drummer for the band Cordelia Blue, who just dropped a recent album, and his own album just released as well called At the End of the World. It is an absolutely beautiful project. He's joining me today on Love's Music. Also, starting this week, I'll be putting all of my artists together on a playlist that's available on both Spotify and Apple called the Love's Music playlist. Check it out if you want to hear some of our artists that we have for you. All right, let's start the show. Welcome back to Love's Music. Rob Tait, thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's always a good time with you, man.
Yeah, man.
Always a good time with Julian.
For real, brother. So this is a local guy, personal friend of mine, killer musician. Bro, do you mind if I start with a story? Do you actually specifically remember the day we met?
I don't remember the day we met, but I remember a lot of things after the fact, I think. Because I think the when we met was so fast.
It was.
That I didn't comprehend it in the moment.
Okay.
So here, go ahead, please.
So my brother invites me to your record release party. And this was, I want to say 10-ish years, maybe. When did The Ghost in the Grave come out? About 10 years, 11 years?
It would have came out in 2016. Yeah. So roughly, 9 years ago.
Okay. All right. So a little bit sooner than I thought. So about 9 years, right? All right. So my brother invites me to your record release party at Bourbon and Branch. First band comes on, they're good. You come on. Freaking murder it. I mean, killing it. You're playing acoustic. I didn't even know you played any other instruments, right? So you're playing acoustic, smash the set. I was like, dude, he's good. He's good to the point, like he might be kind of like put off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't really know me, but I want to say hello. And I expect you to be kind of cold, like usually super talented artists, a little bit of a dick. You know what I mean? Dude, you come off of the stage, right? And I'm all intimidated. My brother's like, yeah, this is my brother Jules. First off, you referenced the fact that I was a musician. We shake hands. You give me this big hug. Now, mind you, at a record release party, for those of you who are unfamiliar, what you want to do is you want to finish your set and then go right to your merch table so everybody can buy the album and a t-shirt or, an album, whatever you have, right? You stop before you even go to the merch table. You give me this big hug. We talk for maybe 3.5 minutes, which is like probably about 3 minutes too long when you're trying to promote an album getting off of the stage. You introduce me to somebody else as another musician. You referenced the fact you knew I did music. And I think you introduced me as Seth's brother who does music too. So I'm getting all warm and everything. And like ever since then, dude, like you just been like my guy, man. I've been following your career. Whenever you do perform, I try to come out and show support whenever I can make it out. But yeah, that's actually how we met, man. Like you made such a big impression on me that one night by taking that time to connect with me. And I don't even think you know that.
Well, I think that was such a, I had a hard year leading up to that record coming out. And when it was done, like when you came out with your book and when you came out with this and all this other stuff, like, this feeling is like, when the whole body just kind of lets go and the brain kind of gets a little foggy because like you're getting the adrenaline dopamine rush, right? And I don't remember much about that night. It's not any reflection upon you. It's actually just like, it was a sold out night and I was not expecting it. And it was a great show, and it was friends, family, and new friends, people that were just coming to see live music, and it was a great night. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of that EP too. But you know what's funny is you pop up all over the place in my life after that. Like you came to Bourbon and Branch, another show where I was opening with Hambone Relay was opening for somebody else. I can't even remember who it was, but you came to that, and it was you, your wife, and somebody else. Because there were three of you at the end of the bar, Bourbon and Branch. It was dead. And that night, I was so thankful for you being there, and then you got to hang and all that. And like you're just so supportive, and I'm so appreciative.
Oh, thank you, brother. We got to support live music, but more important, man, you're doing like the music you're putting out is so quality, man. You put so much. I mean, there is like no filler on any of your projects. You currently just did a project with Cordelia Blue.
Mhm.
I tried to explain the sound to somebody. It's like if Stevie Wonder was the front man for My Morning Jacket. I don't know how to explain it.
That's pretty good. That's
It's
pretty
like
good.
soulful R. The dude has like this R&B voice, but you guys are jamming a little bit. Definitely like some Alan Stone vibes a little bit.
Mhm.
Alan Stone, Gavin DeGraw, like mid 2000s soul. But his voice is too soulful to put in that box, man. I want to say his name, Paul Bickle. Is that his name? What's the lead singer?
It's John Bickle is the singer. His brother is Pat Bickle, who plays bass in that band.
Got it. So you were on that project. Are you singing vocals at all on that project, or is that all?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of harmonies and things like that. And I think we've even discussed having me and Pat like write a song for the group. But John is such an amazing singer. John Bickle, he's such an amazing singer. And I like to tell people that this group is like Stevie Wonder with Little Feat, with Tedeschi trucks, all kind of mixed in. It's soul rock.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm from a few different spaces. Like I've played with in a lot of different genres. I'm like extremely lucky. Like I've played with your brother. I've even backed you up on a track or two, like live, and I'm extremely lucky.
Yeah.
But as for the singing, just background harmonies. We just did a release show the other day in Wayne at 118 North, and we sold that out. And I got to do a lot of background harmonies for that.
Nice.
It was a pleasure. It was a really fun evening.
Yeah. So you're playing drums on the album, and I'm assuming doing the studio work as well.
Yeah. So what had happened was, and I'll try to keep this brief because I can be long-winded. This podcast will be 3 hours long. Was their old drummer was going through some stuff, and I was supposed to come on just as like a Band-Aid to get the songs done or do some live shows. And then over the months, like there was just a really good synergy. And the guitar player in Cordelia Blue is actually the guitar player for the last iteration of Hambone Relay, Luke Farrakhan. So we started to really gel as a quartet. And slowly but surely, we're all looking around like, this is pretty good. Like, and we kept recording. Like John had a backlog of like 20 songs, like ready to go, like demoed out. Like he would record them at home with like BS drums and some other things. But slowly we started recording more and more. I was like, huh, this might be a thing. And then, you know, what's funny is we recorded, I don't know, maybe 7 sessions over the course of the past year. And I did a few gigs, and then finally on the last session, right at the end, they're like, hey, you should actually just be in the band. And I was like, okay, this is going to be awesome.
If I must, twist my arm.
If I must. No, I mean, like, it's an honor to play with these guys. They are so, you know when you meet people and your gut there's just immediately trustworthy, like there's a vibe here. Mm-hmm. They were immediately family.
Yeah.
And
chemistry,
you got to go with your gut on those sort of things. Yeah. Right.
Unbelievable.
But like that, the synergy sometimes is the thing. Is like, I think we need to search this more. So it's really exciting. And the record came out. It's a double record. It's 18 songs.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. I always think when somebody, if it's not like an anthology, I always think a double record is a little ambitious. So I listen with a little bit more critical ear. There's no fat on that album, man.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
I had Weatherman like on repeat. I fronted back the album. Weatherman was the first song I went back to. Heater, Stop, Breathe. I think that some of the names are escaping me.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's 18 songs. It took me a minute to remember all the names myself.
Clementine's is like a catchy little number.
Yeah. Clementine and Day That I Die were the first two that we did.
Okay.
And it was just a trio. It was just me, Luke, and John. So John Bickle plays Hammond B3, but he played key bass, and Luke played guitar. But we did that as a trio just to see what would happen. Because like they had a crazy backlog. I'm like, what the hell? What the heck? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right.
And that's so funny. You mentioned Weatherman. I always I hear that song and I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
This is definitely going to be a musician's favorite track, which you are. But like over the past 3 days, people keep coming back to that one. It's 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
No one expects that.
No.
So we are very excited. And then like one quick story about that recording is if you listen to it, the first 4 minutes, I think, maybe 4.5 is like singing and arrangement. And then the last 3 minutes, I feel like 3 to 3.5 minutes is just the slow build.
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch that?
That's what gave me the Morning Jacket reference, I think, because that's the same thing that Dundante does.
It absolutely is. Yeah. I just don't think those guys listen to that band that much. I'm not sure that's the influence, but
No.
it reminded me a lot of She's So Heavy by the Beatles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it just goes and goes and it gets bigger so slowly. And that was like something that was really hard for me, was like just that patience of letting it grow and like almost like shake with anticipation till it finally climaxes right at the end. And it's just what happens is for about 2 minutes, we don't change a thing. I might do a couple fills, but like the guitar holds, the organ holds, and that tension just builds for 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden they change the bass line and it's just like the floodgates open. And it's so exciting. That song's great. Bright, you mentioned, and what was the other one you had said?
Breathe. No, I'm sorry. Bright, Stop, Clementine, Weatherman. Those were like my four, like, like if I was like explain this band in 4 songs, it'd be those 4.
Well, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so fun. And all that to say, I'm a musician first, right? So like I play drums for a lot of people, or not, I play drums for people. And then I also have my stuff. So I'm really focused on that group of folks and that project and also my stuff. And I've been dialing back a little bit more on some of the other things, because like over here I have exactly what you're saying, more of like soul rock, and I love this. And then like singer-songwriter-y stuff is over here. Right. And I get to kind of do both. Yeah. I'm a leader over here, and I kind of get to be part of a group over here, and both are amazing and have their what the other doesn't, so to speak, right? I get to choose everything here, but sometimes you get exhausted. You're like, okay, I'll focus on this and just focus on the group dynamic.
Well, that makes sense too. I mean, you can not tunnel vision, but you can immerse yourself in the rhythm section of this like awesome ensemble of people. And then over here, you could just like unleash your like creative floodgates into your own project and mold this other piece of art into like exactly what you want. No real deadlines, nobody to really answer to. Best of both worlds, man.
It is. And I think a lot depends on the genre, but a lot of folks in jazz have that ability to do so, which is like they get to play with this trio and then this trio. Oh, I get to go out with this group next in the summer, and then this group plays a lot in the fall. Like it's a blessing that I get to do it at all. And not to say that I don't bring my songwriting, my creativity to Cordelia Blue. I do, but it's different.
Absolutely. Now, were you working on your album simultaneously while you were recording Cordelia, like, or was it like separate seasons? Because the two sounds to me, I'm a little bit of a music snob, so the two sounds seem like vastly disparate. But I mean, I guess if you listen, they could be on the same station, but I think your stuff is way different than the Cordelia Blue stuff.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that they could be cousins. Yeah, but they're not under the same umbrella, if you really want to get metaphorical about it. Yeah, but I think, well, to answer your question, I finished recording the record, I want to say in July of 2023. Mine, I put it out over the course of 23. No, that's not right. I would have finished it in May or June of 23, started releasing it from 23 till October 2024. Okay. And then I actually started recording with Cordelia back in June of 2024. Yeah, so there was some crossover, but what I had already recorded the record, I was just slowly releasing it, because like that's like the new strategy, right? Especially with streaming, is like every 6 weeks, put out a new one, keep people interested, and then you don't have to go into the studio and spend more studio time, because the studio is expensive. You know this. It is. You know, if you're going to like a legit like, $450 a day, it adds up.
Yeah, 100%.
But there was some crossover. But right now I'm actually in the writing stage for myself, getting ready to prep to go into the studio for myself. So in a way they crossed over, but in a way not really. I was writing while we were recording Cordelia, and now that that's done, I can focus on recording my stuff.
Okay. So can we talk about At the End of the World, that album that you just put out?
Yeah,
right now?
Totally. I have it right here.
Another incredible project. Folks, Rob put together, the album's called At the End of the World. I felt like the mood wise, if I'm looking for comps, it's like a James Taylor, Van Morrison, very intimate, I always say with an album like this, you don't listen to your album, you experience it. Like if you're looking to put something on in the background while you go food shopping, this isn't that. This is like turn the speaker on, sit it next to your campfire, hit play, and leave it alone for 40 minutes and just play it through. It's that kind of album. It's a mood. It's very rare that in my experience, it's very rare that a male can dig this deep and create such an emotional and romantic project. Can you speak to your headspace in this album? Because it all kind of goes. I mean, you could listen to it as like one cohesive piece of art.
Well, first off, tell me your Venmo because I gotta send you $20 apparently. But do you like comedians at all?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, stand up
comedians. There's I can't remember who it is. I feel like it's Mike Birbiglia or Pete
I know
Holmes.
Birbiglia.
They say this thing, if you're not telling the truth on stage, why are you doing it? So my goal for this record was to tell the truth, be honest, even if it hurts. There are a few songs on here that like I recorded a long time ago on that first EP or record that you saw, Space Fire and Turn Out the Light. And yeah, those are very raw and real. And they still, even when we recorded it the second time in more of a studio space, it still was like just as emotional as it was the first time. And I told my wife, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but I told everyone, I was like, we're going to be honest and we're going to do it right. I don't want filler because like that'll make me turn off a record so fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was actually supposed to be 10 songs and one of them just didn't make the cut, like wasn't resonating with everything else. Okay. So in terms of what you're asking, honesty needs to be the goal. And something I dislike, you can tell when people are doing it, is it just feels like cliche after cliche after cliche. And
the buzzwords of the day that people are kind of writing in the same pocket like all the pop songs are. You can kind of tell when someone's like pandering to the audience a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, not to knock it, but I will say that pop country has a problem, which is if I have to hear one more song about trucks or drinking beer on a stoop or driving.
That's the formula. Truck beer sundress. Now,
not to say there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not against any of those three.
You know what? But Americana has a bigger problem. Americana has the same. Well, not the same, similar tropes. A lot of singer-songwriters and Americana songwriters write about home too much.
Right.
I have a song called Get On Back to You, and originally the title was more closer to that. But I really try to stay away from cliches and just bland lines. You know, I'm really trying to... My favorite songwriters are the ones that tell a story and it's descriptive. And you could drop me in the middle of something. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Like, for example, are you a Springsteen fan?
I wish I was, man. I got to be honest. He's a little over my head, if I'm being honest.
Well, no, it's okay. Yeah. But the first 3 records of Springsteen are just gold in terms of songwriting. Like if you were thinking about becoming a director for each song, like a movie director for each song that you put out, those 3 would be it. Like you could drop me in the middle of each one of those records and I can instantly tell you like where it is, what's the, like, who are the characters, what's the vibe. Like it's not all about me. There are songs about this on this record that kind of focus on I or me or trying to tell a story from that perspective. But I do love storytelling. And it's so much fun. Like I was doing another podcast where we were discussing like creating art where doesn't sound like you just moaning about your life. Does that make sense? Just like it's cool to like bitch about something. By the way, can I curse on this podcast?
Yeah, you can swear.
It's cool to like say what's upsetting you, but I feel like if it isn't clever enough, people are like, oh, this person's just upset. I'm gonna listen to something else. But if somebody resonates with it, like a story, as opposed to just me bitching about, what's a good example? Wishing Well is about addiction. In the song, it's gambling addiction, but I am an alcoholic, so I was trying to write it about the pull of addiction instead of me just like, oh, I can't have a beer today. Oh no, do. You see what I'm saying? Like, like just something that's people resonate with the theme, not so much the topic.
Yeah, Yeah, that makes sense. It's the same way that every movie followed. There's one of about maybe 6 or 7 themes in every movie. Man versus nature, man for himself, man versus enemy. There's a conflict and a resolution, and the goal is to present all those very, very familiar things in a way that no one's ever presented them before.
Exactly.
You're not going to be the first one to write a song about a heartbreak. You're not going to be the first one to write about addiction, but you can frame it in a way that's specifically Rob Tait.
Yeah, and I think every artist is that way.
And the genius behind it is to do it in a way that's very specifically Rob Tait, but also resonates with Michael in Nevada. And that's how you get like that global hit. You get this, you merge like the intimate with the macro. And that's how you get these like major hits, and that's where the genius comes in.
And I don't call me a genius, but I'm just saying that I think if people were more focused on what they liked about those topics and made it into more of a story form, people would be more successful and people would actually enjoy the newer music. But not to say there aren't geniuses like Katie Pruitt is one of my favorite songwriters right now, or Chris Stapleton and his wife, right? Just there's this one song. I've talked about this on another podcast before, so if you've heard this, please stop me.
Okay.
There's a song by Chris Stapleton. It's called Daddy Doesn't Pray Anymore. And like you read the title, you're like, whatever. Yeah. But they go through the beginning of the song. They're talking about how Daddy doesn't pray anymore, like he used to worship the Lord and all this stuff, basically making it seem like he gave up on Christianity. And you're going through the song, and right in the last verse, they drop it on you that they're actually at his funeral. He's dead. It's not that he gave up religion. He passed away, and it broke my heart, and I cried for 2 days.
Really?
Like just thinking about this song. So that's the stuff that really gets me. It's the stuff that like comes out of nowhere, and it still makes sense. It's not like a M. Night Shyamalan movie where it's just like that didn't even make any sense. But like The Departed, where like something happens, you're like, I could see that actually happening, but the storyline has never been done that way.
Right. Yeah.
So every artist that can find the way, I'm not trying to preach or whatever. It's just what I like.
Yeah.
In terms of topics, if you can sing or write about what you know, and not in the way that's like, how do I want to say this? In a way that's, the way that you write. People can resonate and feel the honesty when you're telling the truth.
Absolutely. Awesome, man.
Or the way that you write. It's the same thing with authors and directors and screenwriters, and everybody has their imprint. As long as it has an imprint, it doesn't feel like bland crackers or something.
Certainly, yeah. I think the trick is, I think the pitfall is you go into the studio, say, hey, I want to be a musician, but also I want to be commercially viable. So I'm going to go in here and write a hit. And I think you do. You start out well-intentioned, like, yeah, I want the song to be accessible. I think that always jams you up. I know for me personally, anytime I went with the purpose to make a hit, like this is going to be the hit on the album. This is going to be my radio song. Always the worst song on my album. You look at somebody like a Kendrick, and it's like, he's not out there writing hits. He's writing experimental music that ended up being accessible, And if you can shift that frame, I think that's where you get that like, just like rich, like gourmet songwriting.
You're absolutely right. But the other thing that's fascinating about him is that he just writes and records so much. And like, I know that he has duds. Ed Sheeran has duds that he's never released. They all do. We all do. I have a whole freaking one of these that's just like full of tunes that are like good, bad, and ugly.
You're like, I got a couple gigs of duds.
Yeah, me too. I just don't want to share with folks. But like, yeah, you gotta get through all the crap. But Kendrick specifically records and writes and doesn't get into the limelight like at all. But he has tons of stuff. And you're right, it is experimental music.
Yeah.
I would not have thought Not Like Us would have been as big as it was. I mean, the drama also helps, but like it's a hit. Yeah. You can't argue with it.
Even the slow songs with SZA and everything, they don't even sound like typical R&B tunes. I mean, his first single, the chorus on his breakout single was, "Why you politicking with these 2 or 3 shots? I'm gonna tell you how to turn it up a notch. You take a swimming pool full of liquor and you dive." And if you would have said that in front of a record exec, they're like, dude, I can't take that to the radio. Nope. That was like his biggest first song, You're
absolutely right. And I think they finally realized that like he has a perspective. That's what I wanted to say. It's like an artist needs perspective. He has perspective.
Right.
He knows his community. He's speaking from his heart. It's honest.
Right. It is.
And people can feel that when you meet like a young or even doesn't matter, age isn't a thing. Somebody who's just looking for hits
Right.
and isn't honest, it feels that way.
Yeah. You can feel, especially now, especially since you've been doing music for a while, we can kind of sniff it out a little bit easier, I think.
I mean, if you're in the game, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Well, so can you take me back to the early days of Rob Tait? I
Sure.
think you and I about 8-9 years apart. How old are you, if you don't mind?
I was born in 90.
Yeah, so we're about 9 years apart.
Okay.
So you're coming up. I'm about a decade ahead of you. What's playing in the Tait household when for the first time you hear music and you're like, this is special. Like I have this stuff in me.
You're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
So I was raised on like a soft rock station.
Okay.
When I was a kid.
Everybody's adult contemporary growing up. Whatever your mom plays in the sedan is like the first music you hear.
It was a 99.5
Okay.
WJBR, and it was a specific radio host that's like super famous, but like I just loved it. It was called, her name was Delilah.
Okay.
Delilah. And then it was all these soft rock hits. My mom loved this stuff.
Mhm.
But I grew up on what's a really good example? Like Celine Dion, of all things. Like I love Celine Dion. I love some of those like early 2000s records, like late 90s, early 2000s records.
Shania and all that?
Yeah, but my father was such he loved like folk rock and singers from like the 70s and stuff. So it would be some combination of that, right? I grew up on Paul Simon, James Taylor, but the song that made me want to become a musician is a Bruce Springsteen song called Rosalita.
Mm.
And it was the song that made me go, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's so many parts, but it's all cohesive. It's sort of like a jam band, but not really. And it's a soundscape that was just so beautiful. And I played that song over and over and over and over again. And the whole record, it's called The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. Phenomenal record, top to bottom. The second to last song is like, the last song's like, meh, but like the rest of it's just gold.
Right. You're gonna turn me into a Springsteen fan, man.
I'm telling you, dude.
Dive, yeah.
I'll send you stuff. Yeah. Like he gets a bad rap, like with certain songs that became hits. Exactly. You know what I mean? The songs that become hits usually aren't even the best ones, or like in terms of artistic stuff, it's usually just the one that is the most memorable.
Right.
But in my house, it would have been some combination of that.
Okay. So when did you pick up your first instrument? And what was it, by the way?
I guess first would have been saxophone.
Right.
But I was terrible.
you were bad.
Jules, I was terrible. I didn't understand. Did you ever play a horn instrument at all?
Yeah, I tried the saxophone for about 6
Okay,
weeks.
so you'll know what I mean. The tonguing thing.
Yeah.
On the reed, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Were you any good at that?
No. I mean, I could play like 3 songs, and then I got tired of like carrying it on the bus.
Yeah.
And I was like
doing like Beethoven's fifth or something.
What'd you say?
Were you doing like Beethoven's fifth or ninth? I can't remember which one.
I mean, this was like doing that for the 6th grade, 3 Blind Mice, all like the original Jingle Bells. Yeah.
Oh, the hits. The hits, man. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I was a honker. I couldn't do the tongue, so I would just blow air. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll try going to tenor saxophone. Yeah. And maybe that's like my thing. Tried that, stunk. Tried Barry, stunk.
Yeah.
And around that time, I picked up guitar, and I was like kind of playing, just trying to keep up with my dad. My dad and I would play guitar, and he would sing, and I just kind of accompany him. But my life changed when I had a friend going from middle school to high school. His name was Colin Sagowski, and he was a drummer in the concert band. And we were all going to high school, and it's unfortunate, but we both got there, and Colin had played drums for a long time, like ever since like the elementary school 4th grade, 5th grade thing, and gone 5 years. I studied a little, like I could kind of do it, but like we get to high school and we both auditioned for the marching band, and they asked us point blank, who's the better drummer? And he pointed at me. I hadn't played. I can kind of fill around on the drum set, but I hadn't really done much. Mm-hmm. So they put me on tenors or quads. I can't remember which, but it's like 4 drums that could kind of go around, and it's like stupid heavy.
Yeah, it's on like the suspender things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they all were the harnesses.
Yeah.
But I played and got by. But the band director was looking for a drummer to be the drummer in the big band, because the old guy was leaving. And he gave me this drum instructor's number, and that was it. I became the jazz drummer in high school and a lot of big band stuff. And like throughout high school, I was like, I'm gonna be a big band drummer. I'm gonna do it. And then when I got to college, I was like, where are all the big bands? Nobody was making any money. There weren't any. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll be like a jazz player, like jazz quartets, jazz trios. And I tried that for like a year and a half, and I did okay. But then I joined this pop rock band with this singer. His name is Tyler James Bellinger. He's huge on Apple and Spotify. But before that, we had a band together, and we were on America's Got Talent.
Oh, sweet.
I did that whole thing. By the way, those buzzers on that show are stupid loud. Like Piers Morgan hit his button, and my time just kind of went like this because I wasn't expecting it. It's like an air horn in your ears. It's I
didn't know you were on America's Got Talent. I didn't even know.
Well, they never aired us. It was we were the same year as do you remember the actress? No, it's not Monique. It's the actress who was the main character in Precious.
Yes, don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about. Well,
Gabby,
Monique is the mom. You're talking about the main girl.
Yeah, the main girl. But the main girl's mom was like surprising her on the show, and she was like the thing everybody was watching, and we were on that same year. But all that to say, started on the saxophone, and then tried to play guitar, and then tried to do big band. It wasn't very successful, and then I was doing okay throughout college, and I started playing with more singer-songwriters and stuff. And now I'm 35. I'm more in the singer-songwriter space than I've ever been in the jazz space.
Yeah, especially in your writing. Yeah, but you write timeless music too.
I mean, I try.
Yeah,
we all try.
I mean, it's like you can play if you played your album in 2003, it would fit. If you played your album a week ago, it would fit. It doesn't. I think when you use organic instruments and you do just kind of just sit. There's like a very specific like singer-songwriter lane that like the music is just accessible for like a quarter century.
I think you're right.
Like there's like you can play a John Mayer song and it'll be like he came out with this yesterday, or I could be like he came out with this in 2004. And you can't really tell.
You're right. It kind of depends, even in the hip hop space or the R&B space. It depends. Like certain sounds are timeless, but like the minute this is the same problem in rock music. The minute they added synthesizers, everything became stamped. This is from the 80s.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Same with the drum machines.
Yeah. Same with I think specifically with hip hop is like that though. Certain sounds kind of take the forefront. Like everything in like 2009 has like a very specific like trap hi-hat, and then like everything. I remember for like 2 years, like Mustard got real big and everything had that like weird, that Moog sound.
Yeah.
Like that Rack City joint, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's great, but some things do date the art, and it's unfortunate. Like just certain things, synthesizers kind of, and certain sounds, like the you like Katy Perry at all?
Yeah, I dig Katy Perry.
The Teenage Dream era of Katy Perry is the distinct point of time where everybody had that same synth thing.
Yeah.
It's like almost club, and then it just opened the floodgates, and everybody sounded like that for about 2 years.
Right, it is like the generic pop synth sound for like 2.5 years.
Oh yeah, and believe me, I'm sure there's some stuff in here that dates me.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I'm not a spring chicken. But
well, speaking of that project too, I don't want to bypass it. Whole album's incredible. I think Matilda probably is the hit because of the happier tone. Space Fire might be one of the best songs I've heard in a while. Like I remember I heard like you're listening to the album and then there's this other, and then like probably because I listened to the album in its entirety. And so the whole album is kind of like moving. You're kind of like settling into it. You know what I mean? And then once you've like adapted to it, then Space Fire comes on. You're like, I need a minute. Like I need a minute. It touches something in you, man. Like that's like if you take nothing away from this podcast, listen to Rob Tait's Space Fire off of The End of the World.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
I owe you another 20. Yeah. But that's why we put it in the end of side one.
Yeah.
It was mainly because of Matilda's in the front of side one, so a happy tune, and then we kind of get into some more deep dark stuff, and then by the end of side one, we're back like the beginning of side one and then we go kind of down for a second, and then we go right back up at like with the guitar solo.
Yeah.
And we kind of crafted that whole side that way.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying, which is like it comes out and you're like, oh, this is different. And then all of a sudden that guitar solo comes in. It's just,
Yep.
and the same side two is pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
That same dip.
Yeah, just beautifully crafted piece of music, man.
Thanks, man.
Know what it reminds me? It doesn't sound like it. It almost reminds me of, do you remember when Beck won the Academy Award? Not the Academy. Beck won the Grammy for
the Grammy. I did the same thing.
Yeah. He won the Grammy for Morning Phase, and everybody's like, what is this? You know? And then you listen to it and you're like, oh, it's just one of the best albums that ever was, period. You know what I mean? And it sounds like one complete song. The whole album just sounds like one song. I mean, for the transitions to the mood, the tone, it's a little melancholy, but it's still like, it's just, there's like hints of fun in it, but it's just like, just crafted. Like, it's just like, you know, when you're listening to like gourmet music, you're like, it just feels different on your ears, you know? It's like that same quality. Like, it's like you're supposed to consume it in its totality, you know?
Yeah, I wish, well, hold on, I will say what I wish, but you're right, which is that the sincerity comes across.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been tainted by, I'll say, music business ick. Like, this is hot. You know, Beck just made the stuff that he wanted to make.
Yeah. And he does that too.
And I love him for it.
I mean, talk about two different sides of the spectrum. He'll give you like an album of like dance tunes, disappear for a year and a half, and then come back with like this like sad, like just like heart-wrenching music. And I'm like, this is the same guy? You know?
Yeah.
But
that's the thing, is being able to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exciting. Like, being able to change, but still being true to who you are.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good example. Like, I love Loser.
Yeah.
And super strange lyrics, but like, that's timeless too.
Even that whole era, like the Odelay, that album, The Loser, Mellow Gold, whatever. Might have to fact check me on the name. I think it's Mellow Gold though. He has the project with like the Danger Mouse, which was like, it's called The Information. Very little publicity. I mean, it just kind of dropped under the radar. I didn't even hear about it until like a year or two later, and I was like, dude, it's one of his best albums. The one with the Spanish name, Guerrero or something, like that was like a funky one, but it's like has this like Hispanic, like it sounds like a war album, you know? He's all over.
I'll have to dive in. I don't know too much about Beck. I know the hits, but like, yeah, I mean, being able to make timeless stuff is the goal.
Yeah.
Because of like, it's hot for like a second, you know? Like, for example, you know what is going to be timeless? I'm calling it now.
Yeah.
Which is, I think Espresso is going to be timeless. And I think that Chapel Roan's going to be timeless.
Yeah.
I think those two big ones, the Hot to Go and HOTTO, and then Pink Pony Club.
Yeah.
And then the other one that you just came out with. Like, these are all timeless. Even though they have all this production, modern production, it still sounds like them, and it still sounds like it's not holding on to 2024 or 5.
Yeah. Espresso especially. Say that 10 times fast.
Sounds like I need some espresso.
Espresso sounds like, well, it can cross genres because it sounds like a little bit like an R&B tune. It's funky, has a disco flavor. If same thing. Espresso came out in like 2008, it would fit. If it came out yesterday, it would fit.
Yeah, and the later Taylor Swift stuff, same thing.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor's in another stratosphere right now.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's what I'm saying is that like there are little nuggets of in time where it like sounds like that it comes from, but most of that music is timeless. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like even most of Earth, Wind and Fire, timeless. Yeah. Like I'm just trying to pull artists off the top of my head, but yeah, the goal is to make timeless stuff. The art will last longer than you.
Right. So all right. So more about you, man, and your creative process. What age were you when you actually started writing your own songs? I'm assuming you were. Did you learn how to write? Were you like reading off of sheet music because you were doing a jazz, or were you just kind of just learning grooves?
Well, drummers are typically taught some basic grooves, and then we're taught to improvise to a degree. It's called like comping or playing along with an artist or playing with records and things like that. But in terms of writing, I didn't start till late. I probably would have started writing around 2014 or 13, and that's when I started going into the open mic scene. So there's a couple of specific places in Philly that I like really cut my teeth. Lickety Split on South Street, McGillen's in in downtown Center City. McGillen's is a place, and I've described this to many people. McGillen's is a place that you go to cut your teeth, your original stuff, and see if it can hold a crowd. Especially, it's like 21-year-olds to 25-year-olds, and it's packed. So the goal is, can I get through 3 original tunes while holding the crowd and not having to play a cover?
Go big
and
or go home.
There are nights where you just have to give up and just kind of go like this. But you're asking about songwriting. So I probably started in 2014, and I had my first song that I really hooked people on, and people just stopped and watched, which was Turn Out the Light.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that it was like, oh, I'm writing decent stuff. Like, people are actually stopping to watch, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I think because I come from a jazz background and my dad listened to tons of music, and I know you and your dad listened to tons of stuff, and your brother and your mom, like, the more you listen to, the more of a catalog you can draw from, especially so everyone who listens to the podcast knows that, like, Julian's dad's from Breakwater, and like one of the coolest dudes ever and a great drummer. But like, having that for you, being able to pull that must have been really helpful in terms of your songwriting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
was
certainly.
It?
I think it's with my song, it was helpful to just have like a broad palette. I got exposed to a lot of different music early. So because I don't actually like play an instrument, being able to pull from like all these elements, and then having like a really good engineer, shout out Michael Bouchard, just being able to be like, hey, I like this guitar here, I like this bass line here, can you do something with this melody? And then mumble something into a microphone, and then he puts his hands on the keyboard and be like, oh, you mean this? And I'm like, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Exactly. That. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, I like Frankenstein 10 songs together to make like one, that ends up being mine,
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all taste.
Yeah.
It's like, you grow up with an environment that helps you write stuff, and then over time it gets better and better. Like, I'm not anywhere near where I want to be songwriting wise or even playing wise. I have tons of goals and aspirations in terms of being able to write certain things and doing it well. And I hope that I never ever reach it. I hope that I never hit the peak. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but I hope it's just always this.
Yeah.
And I hope I never hit it.
That's actually a good segue, man, because I've always been fascinated with that no man's land between like starving artists sleeping on couches and couch surfing to like Post Malone, and this big no man's land in here that are people like you and I and a lot of people that we know that they just make a living doing music.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing music full time now, right?
No. So that is a misnomer. Barely anybody is, and they're lying to you if they are. Can it be done? Oh yeah. It's so hard. Like right now, I won't show you because it's a mess. I record drums for people here,
right?
In my house, I have a very small studio with like 5 drum kits. I can get the sounds that I need, and I can use the whole space to record in. I do that. I play drums for these groups. I also freelance for other folks, but I also I play at a church every Sunday. I work for my buddies. Realty business, like managing cleaning of vestibules and staircases and cutting grass. And then I was hosting open mics. I run Quizzos, anything to get us by. Yeah. But slowly things are starting to shift towards music full time.
Right.
But I did go music full time back in like 2014 or 15. And then like I held on to it for a little while, and then I was like, it was a lot of thankless like cover gig type things. Now for people listening, they don't know what cover gigs are. It's the musician you see at a restaurant playing for like 3-4 hours,
right? And
it's just reading from an iPad and just like trying to get through it. But that's hard, man.
Yeah.
I paid for my our wedding and our engagement ring that way, but right now the industry is so hard because only the top 1% of the 1% are doing it music only.
Right. I think
or at least that's the way it feels.
I read like an insane quote, something like there might at any given time, there's 3 million people trying to become a professional musician. Of the 3 million, only 14,000 are making a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild
14,000. That means guys in bands. That means singers. That means it has to be somebody playing music. So this doesn't count like engineers and stuff. So it means like bandmates, it means just if you're on stage doing music, only 14,000 out of 3 million in the world actually make a living. So between
in the world.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
Because there's only so there's only so many slots in a
Right.
festival. There's only not that there's only so many spaces. Like you can create your own winning environment,
Yeah.
but that's where'd you get that from? I'm gonna look at that up.
World business music. I quoted it in my book. I'll send it to you. Where it's something world business music, something or other.
Here, I'm writing
And it was
this.
like, I
I'm gonna
think
take
the
that.
query was like, how many musicians are making over $50,000 in annual revenue? And it was like 14 to 15,000 out of 3 million.
50,
Yeah.
50,000. Okay.
No, 14 or 15,000 out of 3
Oh,
million.
it's only
Yeah. Yeah.
and only 14,000 out of 3
They're
million
actually
are
making
making
revenue
that.
off of their music. Yeah. I don't know if they're looking at spins, sales, streams.
Because that's a low number.
Yeah.
Like so.
But I mean, well, think about it. Think about any business, right? Think about, I mean, there's market share, right? I mean,
Yeah.
think about soda. There's like 2 or 3 good sodas, a couple decent sodas, and then just a bunch of nonsense in the rest of the aisle that you only see for like a week, and then it's gone in a month or two.
Yeah, like
You know?
companies trying to make it, and they just can't get over
Yeah.
the big three or the big
Right.
the
Music's
people
the
who have a
same.
foothold.
There's like 3 to 5 people on the top of the pyramid that are like epic. There's probably there's about 80 dudes, and I mean just dudes is like people with decent music that you're familiar with that'll hit your city, that come to your city, and then there's like another 99% just trying to make it. Like, let me come play at your place, you know? So
Yeah.
what do you think is what do you think is your specific biggest challenge? And I'm not talking about like biggest challenge to getting on. I mean, just challenge to what does a tough day look like for you as an artist?
Well, right now I'm in a state of transition. Like I said, I have a studio here, and I'm actually moving. But the biggest thing is becoming more self-sufficient because I made this vinyl, this record, and look, I won't lie, there was a lot of money involved.
Yeah.
You got to pay the engineers, you got to pay the recording studio, you got to pay people to mix and master. They do amazing work. I'm not saying I'm going to do it all, but right now I'm in a state of transition. I'm trying to learn how to at least record, mix, and do that much.
Mm.
And that's been difficult because it's a very big learning curve. Being able to do it all on my own. That way I own the studio. I can show up and work on it as much as I want. And that's also a curse, but that is the big thing that's in my way right now, is trying to become self-sufficient in the creativity aspect. Mostly because I don't make beats. Everything I do is pretty much live. You know, everything can be like edited in your DAW, but everything is pretty much, I have to create it, and not saying loops are bad. I really like to try to make the songs flow, and that's been my biggest challenge lately. That, and also, you know, the financial aspect is a thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And finding, you mentioned market share, trying to find your market share is difficult.
Yeah. So what does a win look like for you? Like, give me a time that you really felt like you were on top. Like, what does like a really good season for you look like?
I guess it depends on the person you're asking, right? Because everyone's got a different version of what success looks like. For years, I had a way too very unattainable version of success, and my wife actually called me out. She's like, "That's too much." I was trying to do too many shows with not enough coming in, and it was to the detriment of my health and all this other stuff. But a successful season for me, I guess, would look like being able to live on my art, being able to help other people with theirs. And that means like freelancing, playing drums for folks, or recording here, because that's me putting my art on top of somebody else's.
Yeah.
And I don't need $1 bajillion. I just want to live. Like, and sometimes in the industry, it's too much to ask, it feels like. But a good win, like for example, that Cordelia Blue record that came out last week, we sold out the record release. Wasn't expecting that. I think we sold out of merch too.
Yeah.
Huge and that crew is like, things are happening for that crew. And same thing with my stuff. It's like, you know, it comes and goes. Everyone has their up and down season. I'd be curious to see what everyone else's version of their best season looks like.
Here's a question. What's the best compliment someone has ever paid you?
One compliment that's overdone because it's kind of like a parlor trick, but it's what I love to do, is singing while playing drums. And I get compliments about that. But the best compliment I've ever gotten, I think, is people asking if my song was a cover. Because that means that something I wrote is on the same caliber as something that could be on the radio.
Absolutely. They think your stuff is
validation.
industry standard. It's validation that what you just wrote was industry standard.
Yeah,
At
and
least
that feels really good. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like your brother has like that EP. His brother won on the last
much
EP.
love, y'all. It's on that one.
Much love. Yes. I didn't play on it, but I love the record, and I played a lot of those tunes. But a lot of those tunes are that way.
Yeah.
You know,
he does have like a pop appeal to his stuff.
Yeah, and same thing with your stuff. It's like there is an industry standard, and when you hit that, and somebody goes, "Oh, that's somebody Biggs, right?" And you're like, "No, I wrote that," and they go, "Huh?"
They're like, "You?"
Yeah, they look at
like, don't look so surprised, dude.
that to me is the best compliment.
Yeah,
because there's some validation there, and I shouldn't need the validation, but it's very nice.
Well, you come off so confident and at home on stage. Not arrogant at all, still humble, but like still just very confident. What's it like for you? This is actually a question. Nikki, I don't want to mess up her name. Nikki LaCroce actually recommended I ask this question on the show, and I thought it was a great question. What is it like when you're presenting something for the first time? Because you look fearless. I'm terrified when I play something for the first time.
What does it look like?
What does it feel like when you present for the first time? And I know it's different. There's performing it live. Then there's like the first time you play it for your buddies in the studio. Each first time is a different experience.
Well, I love the first time because you really get a gauge on if it hits people. So, for example, when I was doing a lot of cover gigs, you'd be playing, stuff everybody knows, but you slip in one of yours, and you're for me, I'm looking throughout the whole crowd to see if it like gets somebody to like turn their head because something piqued their interest. I don't know what it could be, but I'm constantly, if I play something new, I'm constantly scanning because I want to know what works. And I've had I had this gig with my band at a place called Well Crafted Beer Company. And I brought the whole band, and it's a place that usually does like tribute acts. So we get there, and I told the band, like, let's play these, I think it was 6 or 7 new songs. We hadn't rehearsed them. I said, here are the charts. Let's try to make this as raw as possible. Like, but, learn the stuff, but like, let's really try to like listen and just see if that, like, remember the tension we were talking about. Yeah. Same thing. It's like, what does that feel like? And do people resonate with it? Some of them really worked. Like, when you're playing that new music, I'm just scanning constantly, just to see what works. And then, but another thing happens, and I want to hear what your answer is. If I'm playing it and it doesn't feel genuine, I'll scrap it. Yeah. Like I had 2 or 3 tunes, and then I might record for just like an acoustic record that I'll play here, but they won't work in that setting.
Okay.
So I try to go into it with an open mind. But the one thing that I learned how to look fearless on stage was musical theater. Especially being stuck on the drums, I really can't go anywhere. So I have to be emotive with my face.
Yeah.
And like kind of make your eye move in different directions. But playing a new song the first time is exhilarating and terrifying. But like you're just seeing what works. And if it doesn't work, it's a drag. But you could write another one. Wait, so what's your answer?
So I do it. So I leave a studio and we do a car test, right? Because you gotta get like outside of the studio,
Oh yeah, you gotta do the car.
When it's in this, you can't really tell by in the studio. You're like too involved in the creative process. You want to listen to it objectively. So we would finish recording. We go out in a car. We drive over to Ott's Tavern, and we play it in a car, and that's usually like the most exciting part. And then you can just tell you're listening for mastering. You're listening for. And then, like, if you vibe out by, like, the second verse, I was like, all right, I think we got one. Dude. I think we got one. And then, now when I play it live, I never really have the luxury of being able to do, like, adequate rehearsal. So I'm terrified the whole time. I'm like, I hope he hits the points. I hope he hits the spots. I usually, I use, like, Moosehead as, like, my mercenary band. Great guys. Chris DiPolito, his brother, Briley. And they, and, like, I mean, and they're great guys, consummate professionals. They do a ton of rehearsal on their own. My scheduling was always a mess. So I run through the set a few times and then I'm live, you know? And so once I notice that they're hitting it and I have like faith that we're going to like execute, by then like I can kind of like fall into my groove. But yeah, it's more anxiety than it is fun for me. Like I look at musicians up there like jamming and I'm like, must be nice.
We're all hiding it a little bit.
Yeah, it takes me a lot to loosen up, man.
But do you have, I read something, and I've never done it, but maybe this will help. If you're debuting a new song, put a camera behind you somewhere. Just so it doesn't have to have you on it at all, but just looking at the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, when you play it back, you can kind of see like what worked and what didn't. But I think we all have that thing, which is, sorry, I meant to say, I also have that thing, which is like nerve-wracking and excitement. I'm just like, I hope, wait, what comes in the second verse? In fact, when I did that show with all the new songs, I remember like getting through one chorus and going, okay, that was good. What's the second verse? And then for a second, I'm like, oh no, I don't remember. And then the first word just bloop, pops out. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I'm sure you're the same way.
100%. I forget the beginnings of verses like once or twice a show.
Oh, you brutal.
I'll like tiptoe over to Seth, like smile. I smile. And then I'm like, while I'm smiling, so nobody knows like I'm sweating, I'm like, what's the second verse?
What is the first line? The thing that sucks is when you're in somebody's backing band and they this has happened. I won't say who. There was somebody in the front performing, and I was playing drums on this gig, and they turn around and they're doing the same thing, doing the smile, and they look at me, and go, "What's the next verse?" And I have to look at them dead in the eye, go, I'm sorry, I learned my part. but I also do that in my groups as well.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Man.
Bro. You're all over. Well, not all over, but I know you have certain avenues to get a hold of you. You do have a site so we can check for dates and stuff.
Yeah.
If there was only one way to support you, what's the single best way for somebody who hears your music and loves it and wants to support you? What's the single best way for them to do that?
Pick up a vinyl, because you're not going to get distracted by the algorithm. It's a physical thing. When if or when Spotify shuts down or any of the streaming services, you have it. That's why physical media is coming back in a big way. But this keeps the lights on, and also it's such a fun thing to show friends when you have people over. Mm-hmm. Like it's always a talking piece. Like if people come over and they see like a vinyl player, mine's over there. But if people come over and see the vinyl playing something and it's like a cool looking vinyl and they have this just sitting up there, it's such a great talking point. Oh, that record's cool as long as it looks like art and stuff. But to answer your question, pick up a vinyl. Come see me out on the road. Like say hi. I love talking to people.
Yeah,
and
you're always very, very warm and inviting. People come up and approach you.
We're a big community. The music community, music fans, music creators, the businesses themselves. For the most part, we're all a family.
Yeah,
every side of it. We need you. You need us, and
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, I know you talk about being like, not a spring chicken, but I think this is the tip of the iceberg for you, man. I think that you have been on a steady growth trajectory. Your music somehow is continuing to get better as you keep putting out more stuff. Even come to see you perform. You can see the growth from performance to performance when I come out and see you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
You're not the person you were last year. You just keep climbing.
Well, that's the goal, right? For everybody. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, man. But I mean this from the bottom of my heart, man. I love you, man. And I want to see you be uber successful, healthy in all aspects of your life. And I can't thank you enough for joining me on the show and just carving out some time for me, man.
Of course. Easy breezy, man. It's always fun to hang with you.
Yeah. Awesome, bro. Well, for the rest of you, this is it for Love's Music. Make sure you go grab a vinyl for Rob Tait at the End of the World. Check out Cordelia Blue. Get on that website. And if he's coming to a city near you, do not miss it. Make sure you say hello and tell someone who loves music.